recording Peter.
And we're recording Taylor as well.
That's true.
Yes.
We're both recording ourselves, yeah.
Well, welcome to Emotional Men. I was telling him that I study this, like I enjoy looking at these papers and these studies of things that we're talking about, not because I want to seem smart, but generally because it's interesting. Like I look into it. Last weekend, I learned that someone very old had died, 101 years old. And so I wanted to know, is that a statistically significant outlier for the rest of the population? So I started looking up what is the mean for male deaths in America and the standard deviation. Is he more than 2 standard deviations away from the mean? Is he technically a statistical outlier for dying at 101 years old? And he's right there. He was right there. He would be excluded from a study. Yeah, he's right there at 2 standard deviations. Because the curve is not normal, of course, because everyone dies older in life, so the curve is skewed. So there's a lot more people on the right side. Anyway, so I do this stuff not because I want to teach, but because I want to learn. So if I bring these studies up, it is just because I like reading about them.
Oh, all right.
There, that's my defense for looking these things up.
Your defense for being intelligent and well spoken and well educated?
Just randomly.
You know what my defense is, Pete? I'm just dumb. I'm just like a bag of rocks being swung around, smashing into things.
You can open up every presentation you ever give with that. I think people will give you a little more leeway.
So the second guitar on that song, by the way, is my buddy Sean, who I think I mentioned as one of my ride or die bros. And Sean is the other guitar on that because he and I were in a band forever. And every time I listen to it, I just feel like happy and warm. In fact, on the way to my office today, I was listening to Clarity, the album by Jimmy Eat World, which for my money is a perfect album, which is maybe... I don't think it's a hot take. Anybody who is into that kind of music will probably agree that album is just a straight up banger. But man, listen to that and just thinking about Sean and life and stuff makes me feel happy thoughts. Dude, who decided to do this at 8:30 in the morning? What idiot?
No, that's fine.
Taylor
we get the gist.
Decided that this is a good idea. Man alive. How you doing, Pete?
Let's see. Last time you asked me that, I went right into, I'm doing fine. And I asked you, and you're like, I'm kind of tired. And I realized that I give frequently the quick American answer. So, how am I doing? I am, let's see. How do I put this? I feel like I'm on thin ice. I have bad habits that I slide into. And when I'm left to myself, I often do those bad habits more because, my wife isn't here to stop me and the kids aren't running around, so I'm not distracted. So I feel like I'm on thin ice this morning. My wife went on a field trip with our daughter, our kid, and so here I am. I'm glad to spend this time with you. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel this morning. How are you?
Well, good. You'll be shocked to hear tired.
It's 9:30 for me, 8:30 for Taylor.
Well, now it's 8:52 in the great state of Texas.
Yeah. So what are we? 5 minutes in, you can cut all of it.
Yep. Cut it all. Well, no, I want people to know how you're doing. They deserve to know that Peter Kingsley is living well.
Oh, thanks. Everybody who actually, I've some really loyal friends, and I really appreciated it. I wanted to give a shout out to the people that I've invited in various social media outlets, and I just invited them. I sent them a simple invite. Hey, I started a podcast with my friend Taylor. Would you give it a look? Would you follow it? And I've had a couple dozen people accept that, and it's been I don't know, validating to see that I still have people who remember who I am enough to say, okay, I'll listen to I'll follow a podcast. Listen is one thing, but following. So thanks to those folks who decided to support.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what has the feedback been that you've gotten?
I've gotten it's all been positive. It's been amazingly positive. Some people saying that they're excited to see it, and some engagement, some thoughtful engagement with people um, giving comments on what we have said and their take on it. And whether or not we engage with your thoughts, we read them and it makes us think, and we appreciate that. Unfortunately, Taylor's a full-time job and I'm at school, so we don't get to answer everything, but man, it's really fun. It's really fun to see people either give a thumbs up or give some response, thoughtful response to what we're doing.
Yeah, it's been
Have you
really
seen it?
nice. Everyone that I know that has listened to it has told me they hate it and they hope that I die, which I thought was a little
Oh, well then
harsh.
we even out.
Yeah, so we're kind of average. I've been really happily, pleasantly surprised by how many people have been really lovely about it. I'll have you know, I just checked. We have crossed 100 streams, Pete.
What? Are you kidding me? 100?
Yeah, in the last 8 days, we've been listened to 101 times.
Holy cow, that is awesome.
Yeah, very surprising to me. Legitimately, like I don't make a secret of it. I'm not a huge podcast fan. So the idea that 101 people or 101 times people have been like, we'll give this a listen.
Wow, that is awesome. Over 100 people.
Or 100, yeah, 101 streams. I don't know if it's 101 people, but
Yay.
yay! We're not the worst. I will also say before we dive into the topic today that I've been surprised by how much doing this has made me think about other stuff, like how much I'm focusing on friendships as an example, trying to make sure they're doing well, and like meeting up with people for lunch and just talking has been really cool. Thinking about perfectionism and picking problems and like all of these topics has been a good reminder for me to utilize them in my own life, which has been really good.
Yes, well, if it's a little too personal, but heck, everyone's going to know about me anyway as I talk about myself. My wife and I are renovating our kitchen, and it gets to be very stressful because there are a lot of decisions we have to make. And when couples, as they're, individuals with their own opinions, we have to make decisions. And sometimes when the other person is around, we make a decision that the other person does not agree with. And so I have
Hmm.
had to practice some of this uh, perfectionism stuff and the 80-20 thought that we had, like how do we resolve it? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, but the whole emotional dysregulation thing, finding out that holy cow, I am getting emotionally dysregulated and this has nothing to do with her. Like this,
Hmm.
the impetus was the whatever it was, whether this 2x4 was nailed in completely flush with the sill, whatever it was. And that's just that's just the thing that happened, but my feeling of anger and resentment or her pointing it out after all that work is way out of bounds. And I've noticed that in myself. And I'm really grateful for the emotional regulation talks that we've had because I realize it is not, it could be this thing, or it could be something at work, or it could be something at school, it could be something I see on the news. But if I react this
Hmm.
way and do something about it the way I treat my wife about it, then I'm out of line. I'm feeling is it okay? Feeling it is okay. So I need to watch how I show those feelings. It's been a great practice in life.
Yeah, the nice thing too that I've been finding is like I can't expect other people to solve it for me. Like if I get in a bad mood or if I'm being pissy about whatever, it's not the people around me that need to change to make me feel better. It doesn't hurt. Like my wife will do things nice to try and help me feel more relaxed, which is really lovely. But it's if it works or not is not it's not on her at all. And that's been really a good friendly reminder for myself as
Hmm.
well. It makes us sound like we're like stomping on our houses, like, "Oh, I'm angry, fix everything."
No, it's just that um, there's always, for some reason, this fight inside of me of being the strong male. I want to be this type of man. I want to be,
Mhm.
um, what's a better word than dominant? I want to be assertive. I want to see myself as this type of person because if I'm not, then we have words for it. We're like a simp, or you're whipped, or something like that. Like if you give in to your wife, that means you're weaker somehow.
You're
You're
whipped.
whipped. Yeah, exactly. And for me, it is about noticing how angry I get and then approaching my wife. about whatever while controlling my anger, not controlling my
Hmm.
anger, while feeling my anger and
Yeah,
behaving,
regulating your response.
regulating my
Well, let's be
response.
super pedantic
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, it's because we got so specific about it last time.
Well, I think too, like the idea that what's the word? Not like caving into your wife, but giving her what she wants, or like settling on something that's not your first choice makes you whipped or weak. That's called relationship, man. Like,
Yeah, yeah, that is just a relationship. Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, the idea that I have to always be right in my relationship is ridiculous. The idea my wife always has to be right is equally ridiculous,
Hmm.
for sure. But like, we work together, we find solutions, and I do sometimes set aside what I want to make my wife happy because it's just the right thing to do because what I want doesn't matter sometimes. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, who cares? And I know for a fact she does the same for me.
Oh yeah,
It's
absolutely.
it's
I
that balance.
I think that's one of the magical things that I found in my marriage. Um, Before when I was single and you're fighting for yourself and for a while, and I still had this developing this idea of myself. I want to be a strong person, assertive person, and not weak. One of the miracles of marriage for me was that I remember sitting down with my wife and opening up about something that really bothered me, something that was very hard, a vulnerability, and
Hmm.
it didn't freak her out. It didn't scare her away. It didn't make her like me less. In fact, it made her like me more. It
Hmm.
was a complete 180 from what I expected because I went in, did that cold bath a toe at a time, just like, okay, this is not who the type of man that I want to be. But she needs to know this about me that I really don't like these type of things because of my history, and I share that
Hmm.
history, and it's like, oh my gosh, she's cool with that. That's like, oh my gosh, she
Yeah.
might just be my person. You
Hmm.
know?
I remember having a very similar experience with my wife where I was like, fine, I'll tell you what's bothering me. And she goes, well, why didn't you just say that? And then what I thought was because that makes me weak.
Oh
But what I
man.
said was, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's so much cultural stuff around men having to unlearn how to be vulnerable and letting somebody see the vulnerable parts of you, thinking that
Mhm.
means that you're weak. Like it's just that's not the way it works. Like you said, it just makes the relationship stronger. I know I can go to my wife for literally anything, and if I do that, it's going to be okay. And she might. Here's the other thing too: is like she might not always react the way I want her to, but we'll get there. And I have
Yeah.
faith in our capacity as a couple to get there, and that's really great.
Yeah, for
I will say though,
what
good,
I would say that we don't say the D word in our marriage, and like divorce, we don't
yeah,
say the D word
hmm
ever. And so I know that if no matter how angry we get, we gotten into like yelling matches at each other. If one of us ever said, "Well, then I'll just leave," it would still be a shock. No matter how angry we get, no matter how I have to storm out and I have to just pace the hallways until I can talk again, no matter how angry we are, if we ever talked about um, splitting up, it would be a shock and it'd be like, whoa, 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 no,
you,
no, no, this
you
isn't
could
worth
say
it. Like
divorce.
that's way too far. Like no, we don't say that. And then the argument would immediately, for me anyway, like it's over.
Yeah.
Like this is not worth that. And neither of us have ever done that. We've never used it to
Hmm.
deflate an argument. But that feeling that like we're safe, we're safe in the
Yeah.
relationship because we don't even talk about ending the relationship.
We do use the word divorce in my relationship, but it's always in context of murder before. Like, we're not going to get divorced. I'm just going to kill you. And that
Oh
I'm happy
man.
for that. I do kind of want to talk about that just a little bit though, because there are people who are getting divorced and people who are going through divorce. And this isn't what we're necessarily going to talk about today. This is a conversation for a different day. But if you're in a relationship that is not working despite your best efforts, divorce can be a very effective option for reclaiming your life. It's not something that I go to first or second or even third necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
but divorce is not it's not some kind of like you're a terrible human being who's failed at whatever. Sometimes divorce is
Oh,
necessary if it's a
yeah.
bad enough relationship.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Especially if there is any type of abuse going on, whether it's verbal abuse, if you're being insulted all the time, you're being demeaned, and
Yeah.
it and it's harming you. You need to start thinking about that. Um,
Yeah, you got to protect yourself.
so perhaps our audience that we need to define are those people who both in the relationship both want the relationship to work, and for some reason it's not. Like we just every time we talk, it ends up fighting. How does this keep happening? So when I sit with a couple, I'd say, okay, you both are sitting here. That means you both wish that the relationship was better, right? And if they can say, yeah, we hope the relationship was better, it's like, okay, good. We'll start from there. You both wish that this relationship would work. Now, if one of you is like, no, I don't think that this relationship as it stands can live.
And
That's
I'm not
another
willing
thing.
to work on
Oh
it.
yeah, and you're not willing to work on it.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times people come in, they're kind of towards the end of trying on their own. And so they're probably actually at a point. At least in my office, they're like, yeah, no, like we've done so much and this is kind of our last resort. And if things don't change from where they are now, then this isn't going to work.
Yeah, which is it's really sad actually. I remember sitting there for a few moments, several times with people who are just like almost in mourning over the loss of their love. And
While you're like doing CPR in the
yeah,
relationship,
yeah, exactly. And you're just all
it's not over yet. You just got to keep fighting.
it's yeah, actually we treat the relationship as a separate entity, like the interstitial space between the two people. It is not you and it's not you, it is something else. This relationship you both have to work on because you're not going to quote give in to her demands because you want to make her feel better. You want the relationship to survive. So you're going to do
Yeah,
this because your relationship is on life support.
absolutely. I tell my clients all the time, like, I'm not on your side, I'm not on their side, I'm on the relationship side. And sometimes both of you hurt the relationship, and I'm going to call you out on it.
Yeah.
And just make your peace with that now because it's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. That to say like what you just did hurt the relationship. That's totally on
Hmm.
you.
Yeah, and I think too, the other thing I tell them is like, you guys aren't fighting each other, you're fighting a problem in different ways. And if you can get on the same side as to how to correct the problem, then you're doing this about
Hmm.
as close as you can to the right way.
That brings me into one of these trainings that I had for couples therapy by Gottman. They were kind of the this couple is a man and woman. They're therapists and they're married, and they wrote a book called 10 Principles for Doing Effective Couples Therapy. Julia and John Gottman, and kind of speaks to what you were just saying. Was don't focus. This is a quote. Don't focus on the facts. Pay attention to the barriers of communication and their antidotes, which I thought
Yeah.
was it's really seductive because if there's a problem with you squeeze the toothpaste from the middle and I squeeze it from the bottom and this can't happen. Like that's not the way you're supposed to squeeze toothpaste. Gottman is saying, don't focus on the facts because every time you guys talk about toothpaste, you guys end up screaming and yelling and throwing the tube across the room. So how would you Taylor deconflict that if they're saying and what you just said like it's not what you're talking about, it's how you're talking about it.
Well, I mean, I think there's a few different ways. One, my first thought is, well, let's pick our problem. What is it about this problem that you're willing to die on that hill? Is it something that why? What's the actual danger of this problem? If the toothpaste is squeezed in one way or another, does it ruin the product? Is the toothpaste the entire tube ruined? Is it a question about being messy? Is it a question about efficiency? So, and this is something that I talk about with my clients sometimes. I think any fight, there's two things happening at once. You've got an existential question and a presenting question. The presenting question in this case is the toothpaste. The toothpaste tube is being squeezed the wrong way, whatever that means. The existential question could be something completely different. I've
Oh,
told you this
yeah.
bothers me, and yet you keep doing it. Do you not value my
Well,
opinion?
define
Or
existential then. What do you mean by existential question?
when I say existential, I mean not something rooted in a physical question. Like there's the presenting problem is usually there's a thing that needs to be solved, there's a solution that will make the problem go away. An existential problem is like a recurring deeper question about the self. You know,
Oh,
again,
I
with the
see.
toothpaste, do
Yeah.
you value my opinion? This makes it messy. I don't like it messy. I have to clean this up. You never clean the bathroom. I'm always one that cleans the bathroom. You're making a mess for me. I feel like you're just trying to make more work for me because you don't care about my time.
So
That's an
so
existential
this
question.
toothpaste squeeze turns into you don't care about me.
Yes, exactly. And so I tell people all the time, like, if you can figure out what the presenting problem is, the actual thing that needs a solution, as well as what the existential question is, how this impacts you and your understanding of yourself and the relationship, you're a lot closer to finding a real workable solution.
Oh, that requires digging,
Yeah, I mean,
quite a
like,
bit of
who wants to
digging.
do that?
Yeah. Don't focus on the facts. Focus on
Well,
what it
Pete,
means.
I have good news for you and everyone listening.
Oh,
I'm sure you'll be shocked to hear this, Pete,
okay.
because you certainly didn't see the runner for this episode. I have a patent pending 6 steps. There's no real patent pending, but I do have a 6 step thing that I teach people how to fight effectively. I'm a big believer in fighting. I'm not a big believer in aggressive meanness, but I am a big believer in leaning into the fight. Um, and I'll tell this story. My wife and I. Oh, I hope she doesn't get mad at this. She's not going to listen to this. Who am I kidding?
My wife only listens to it while I'm doing the checks on it afterwards. She's like, "Oh, listening to yourself." Huh?
Oh,
So don't. Yeah.
yes. Well, I love the way I sound. So my wife and I, the worst fights we've ever gotten into have almost always been around childbirth. Not about whether or not to have children, but just the moments leading up to having a baby and like the 6 months to a year after having a baby, just because we're both exhausted. It's a big
Mm.
change. We're scared. We're tired. And I tell this story in therapy often, not my therapy, in therapy to clients as an example. We were having a fight because my grandpa had died about a week and a half before my wife was due.
Oh.
I had missed my other grandpa's funeral because we couldn't afford to go. I couldn't afford to go. My grandpa Cannon is the one. He's the one who gave me the. There's no secret to doing hard things. You just do things that are hard. My son's middle name is Emerson. That was his first name. Like I loved my grandpa Cannon so much. I love my grandpa McCary, but I love my grandpa Cannon.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the money to go, but my wife was about to give birth, and so I was like, "What?
Oh
I
yeah.
really I want to go to this funeral." And she said, "I'm about to have a baby." I said, "I understand that, but like, you know what this means to me." She said, "I do." Then go. Just know that like you might miss the birth of our child. I was
Oh
like,
man,
"That's."
and what that means to her.
And to me, I want to be there for the birth of my child too. But it's also like I understand that, and we talked so much about what I want. I've missed the other funeral, how hard that was on me. Um, so we got into a fight about it, and I want to give real credit where it's due. My wife was in the right the whole time, and not only was she in the right, but she was handling it the right way.
Well, it doesn't.
I was,
I don't know if that matters. Like who's right and wrong. We're talking about like.
I think for this sake, it kind of does, and I say that because I was pushing more than I needed to. I was kind of being aggressive, and I was stoking the flames. I was saying, "What about this? What about that? You're saying
Oh,
this,"
you were
and
pointing out things as pertaining to her. Like you were.
I was not as pertaining to her. I was saying like, "This isn't fair. Why are you not just telling me I'm allowed to go?" And finally she got up and she's like, "Look, I'm going to go in the other room. I can't keep having this conversation." And she left and I followed her, which was a terrible idea. And I went in and she finally like, "Just do whatever you're going to do and leave me alone." And I went, "Fine." And I walked out and I slammed the door. And if you'll forgive my French, I've never said this about my wife and I will never say it again. But I was walking down the hall and I said underneath my breath, I thought, "Selfish bitch." Now, of all the bad things to say about your wife, who is being extremely reasonable and doing her best to diffuse a bad situation, that is not what you say. And I
Hmm,
thought that she didn't hear it, but she absolutely
she
heard it.
did.
She totally heard it. And so I hear a, "What did you say?"
Oh man, and yeah, hopefully
And I hear a,
yeah, and then she
she
followed
throws
you.
the door open and she's like, "What did you say?" And time froze for a moment. And I said to myself, "I'm always telling my clients to lean into a fight." She caught me. I can't lie. I'm going to lean into the fight. So I turned around and I said, "I called you a selfish bitch." And let me tell you, Pete, the next 15 minutes were real ugly.
Oh man.
But they were ugly because she was responding to an attack, very fairly, I might say, and she got real mean. But for whatever reason, because I knew I was telling the truth, I felt really calm.
Like you
And
didn't
so she
lie,
got
you
her.
didn't pull out of what you said, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I was like, "I'm standing where I'm standing. I'm in the wrong." And I told her, it's like, "I shouldn't have said that, but this is how I feel right now." And after 15 minutes of really big emotions,
Yeah.
the emotion was gone and we could address the problem. We had a 3-hour conversation and solved it. And I decided not to go to the funeral with my wife. We both were on the same page.
I cannot imagine what that would have been like if either she had not what did you say and followed you into the room, or if you had lied about what you said,
Oh
or
man,
if you
it
had
would have been
said,
days.
if you said I'm sorry and you wouldn't repeat what you said, and she says, no, really, tell me what you said, and you're like, no, I don't want to say it again. I'm really sorry, and you didn't clean the wound before you tried to bandage it up.
Yeah, it would have been a simmering resentment on her part and mine that would have lasted for days. I mean, it would have ruined several days.
Yes, absolutely.
Um,
I think that's what it is. And then it would have been brought up because it was unresolved. It would have been brought up
at a
later.
different time.
Yep.
Yeah, probably in a way that had nothing to do with anything. And my son was born a week later, and like I don't yeah, the whole everything. We leaning into the fight was really good.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh,
when I say leaning to the
in
fight,
the
I don't
short,
mean leaning to fist
in the
fights.
long term, it was good.
In the long term, yeah, even in the short term, 15 minutes, that's a small price to pay for being able to sleep.
I don't know. Some people, I would say that it's very difficult to fight. It takes
Yes,
it takes bravery. It
absolutely.
takes commitment to the relationship. It takes willing to feel pain. Um,
Yeah. Well, let me break down how I fight, Pete, and then maybe we
okay,
can
we're gonna.
see if
Okay,
this helps people fight.
these are the
So
six
I do have,
steps,
yeah, these are actual six concrete steps, and I'm not big on concrete steps because everyone is so different,
and they have
but
to be
these are
done
six
in this
steps.
order. And you have to come up
No,
with an
no,
acronym that you so you can remember them.
no. But you do have to pay me $5 every time you do it. Um, you bring up a good point. These are six steps. It's more like six ingredients. They all need to happen. They don't need to happen
Oh,
all
I
at
like that.
in order.
Six
Yes,
ingredients.
this is more of
Okay.
a recipe for fighting. Okay, so step one, strike while the iron is cold. A lot of people have heard the phrase strike while the iron is hot.
Hmm.
And what that means is like strike when there's opportunity. But when you're in a fight, if the iron is hot, that means that you're really emotional and you can't talk calmly. And if you hit a piece of iron when it's hot, sparks fly and other things can catch on fire. If you cannot talk about something calmly, you probably are best served to wait until you can. And I say that because, and this is really a crucial component of this, if it's only a problem when I'm angry, is it actually a problem? The answer is no. Like, let's think
Oh,
about,
that is a good point. Oh man.
yeah, if I have cancer and I get a cancer diagnosis, I'm going to be feeling lots of big things. And I'm going to be like, okay, oh, I can't, what do I do? What does treatment look like? How am I going to
Yeah.
change my life? What does this look like long term? Am I going to die? And I have big emotions. That emotion will eventually give away. Emotions are unsustainable. Feelings, which are different from emotions, how I feel about it, that is definitely sustainable. But my emotions will change. If my feeling about something that this is a problem stays consistent outside of the emotion, then it's still a problem. The cancer outside of the fear and the anger is still a problem that needs to be addressed. The dishwasher being unloaded incorrectly, if I'm not actively angry and the dishwasher is unloaded, is it actually a problem? Probably not. And the example of my wife, when I called her that name, telling her calmly that I called her that name, that's still a problem.
Yeah. Oh man. The fact that you called her that
Yeah,
name is the problem. Maybe not necessarily.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Uh,
you could break down the existential and the presenting problem. The presenting problem is I need to figure out through my grandpa's funeral. The existential problem is why won't you just let me go? Why are you putting yourself above my feelings? That was the existential problem. And my wife, again, I want to really drive home the point. My wife was completely in the right when it came to that. She was absolutely right. I was not. So yeah, strike while the iron is cold. If you cannot talk about it calmly, you would be well served not to talk about it until you can talk calmly.
Interestingly, that is the second point I was going to bring up from Gottman's 10 points was wait until you're both calm, assume that both views are valid.
Hmm,
Same
absolutely.
thing.
I think yeah. I'm a big believer. I have a phrase that I think about a lot that I try to live by, and that's I can't know I'm right if I'm not willing to be wrong. And if I'm in a fight with somebody and I think I'm right, I need to know their point of view and I need to be willing to be changed by it in order to continue to be right. And if I'm no longer right because they have a better point of view or better information, I need to change so that I can be right. I can't just hold on to something because I want it to be true. It needs to actually be true.
Changing your mind, though, does it make you feel unstable in the future? Because then you might be wrong with anything you think.
No, because I feel like I at any given point I give myself grace. Maybe some might say too much grace. But I give myself a lot of grace. At any given point in time, I try and act with I have the best of intention, and I'm trying to use my information to the best of my ability, right?
I
Like
see.
I'm actively seeking truth. I'm actively seeking the correct thing. Truth meaning the correct set of facts with which to make a decision.
Well, that again, how does this not jive with a young man's perception of aggression and not being whipped, not being like subservient to your wife? Which I'm
Why is it
going,
being subservient to always want to be right?
I'm going to the extreme here, saying like,
Sure.
a family man
Or a
is.
young woman too, by the way. This isn't just
Oh yeah,
a male thing or
yeah.
a woman
Well,
thing.
I'm speaking from my experience, trying to
Sure.
deconflict my desire to be right, my desire to be strong, my desire to be smart, and then my wife comes into a project that I've been working on for 5 hours and points out something obviously wrong with it, obviously, and I take one step back and I go, oh my gosh. But I don't want to be wrong. I've been working at this for so long, and she comes in and makes an obvious observation,
Well,
and
here's the question I have for you, Pete.
crazy.
Are you wrong?
In that it's not wrong, but it could be a lot better if she points something out that could have been a lot better. So
So
I'm not
in
technically
specifically the
wrong.
instance you're using though, okay, so like not technically. Let's set that aside for a second. If she comes in and points out something wrong with the project you've been working on,
Yeah.
is that not something you want to notice so that your kitchen isn't put together wrong?
No, yes, it is. It is something I want to know. This is the crux of the problem. What
Hmm.
it means to me is different than what it means in the long term. To me, it means I'm stupid. She's smarter than me.
Hmm.
I don't have the observation skills. I'm unintelligent. Um, I, I don't know how to. I don't know my way around a workshop, whatever it is. And in truth and in reality, she doesn't mean any of those things. It means, um, she found out that the dishwasher is going to hit the counter. I mean, it's going to,
Yeah.
or something or other when we make cabinets.
My first thought hearing that is I'm sad to hear that you think so little of yourself.
Oh, it's a slippery slope, Taylor.
It can be. I mean, if I'm in your situation and I'm not, and so this is not a fair one-to-one, but if I'm in that situation, yeah, I'm like, well, then you freaking do it. Like,
Yes, I
if you
often
know
go
you're doing
there.
better than I do,
Yep,
then you do,
it
because
happens all the
I
time.
have no idea
That
what exactly is
because my
you're
meaning to myself
you
is
do it.
that I'm done, I'm dumb, and I don't know how to do it, and you know it so much better than me.
I look, being corrected is hard. It's really hard, and it can feel like you're losing power, like you're losing control of a situation. My question for you is, do you trust the person giving the correction?
You know, it's not about trusting. The problem is that I do trust her. I know that she's right and that I'm wrong, and it
Hmm.
hurts my ego. And this might be a personal problem. It might resonate with somebody else who's listening, but take it for what it's worth. It's just from me. But we had this long conversation recently about why I was so upset, and she's not. And I was just really, really upset after working so hard. And I told her that it was like me drawing a picture, a pretty picture for you, and I put a lot of effort and creativity into this picture that I made you, and I brought it to you, and you pointed out everything that was wrong with it. And what does that mean to me? And she goes, it's and I realize honestly that I'm a grown man in my 40s and she is a grown woman and we are adults, but it was the same feeling. It was the same feeling you
Hmm.
can't get away from your childhood. And so I honestly brought that to her and said, this is how I feel. I feel like I'm trying really hard." And she outpoured all this gratitude, saying she appreciates all the effort, but the effort is not what she wants, which kind of stung a little bit. She wants an
Mm.
outcome. And later, I'm telling my daughter about that as I'm putting her to bed, that like you can try really hard, but you don't get a reward for trying. You get a reward for the outcome. That's when you get the reward, when something happens. And that kind of hurt hearing myself say it.
I don't even know if I agree with that.
Well, in any
Are
case,
we about to fight, Pete?
I better walk away.
How exciting!
No, no.
How exciting!
No, the point is that I became vulnerable. I exposed a little childhood part of myself to her. She didn't ridicule it. She helped soothe the childhood part of it. But the facts were kind of secondary to what it meant to both of us. So she
Mhm.
said, "Do you not want me to point things out? If I don't like it, do you not want me to say anything?" And I honestly didn't have an answer. I realized that I had a problem because I'm like, "No, if you don't like the way I'm doing this, I I do want you to point it out. Then why am I so upset when you do?" Like it was so dichotomous in my mind. It was this huge conflict of like I want her to be happy with what I'm doing, but also I don't want her to mention anything she doesn't like. Just don't change anything. Just accept everything and tell me I'm awesome. That's all I want.
Yeah,
And that's not
yeah,
fair.
it's not. I also, I'm curious if this were a therapy session, which is, obviously it's not, but if it were, I would set everything aside to keep talking about what you're talking about right now.
Hmm.
Um, but I have 5 more steps.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, let's go ahead.
What might be interesting is let's go through the rest of the steps and then go back
Okay, I
and,
will
and
I,
just
I will listen.
it's interesting. It's the therapist in me is like, I want to talk about this. I really want to talk about this because what I want for you more than anything else is for you, one, to give yourself some grace for being upset because I think anybody would be upset. I've been working and you're telling me that this isn't good enough. Screw you, do it yourself. Like, what am I doing this for if it's not going to be good enough? And also, like, I really want to give you some grace around the buttons that get pushed in you when you get upset because those don't make you weak. And the question I think you've been asking is, but what about the times when how is that not capitulating? How is it not just giving up my power in the relationship to be like, fine, you tell me what's wrong, I'll fix it. I think a lot of people get kind of stuck in that place. And I think the
Mhm.
answer, if there is an answer, has to at least include the idea that somebody giving you a fact is different from someone giving you a value judgment. And the idea that if you feel like your value is diminished, that's an internal thing. And I know you're saying that, but from the outside, I'm saying that because I don't think your value is diminished because of being something wrong with it. I've totally been there too. I've made stuff. My wife and I can't work on things together because I have this exact problem, and
Yeah. Well, it's
like literally we can't.
in her defense, she doesn't come up and say, "Well, why? That's interesting that you did it that way." So I hate that. She'll come up, and if I get 2x4s skewed slightly, and she'll come up and be like, "Oh no, this is crooked," and it's a fact. It's a fact. But I take that
Mhm.
into a meaning. Like, yes, yeah, it's crooked. You want to do it yourself? Then you do it. Like I'm tired and I'm like working. I'm wrenching on taking a wall out, and she's like, "Oh no, it's crooked," and that's her reaction to all this work is pointing out, "Oh no, it's crooked." And so I'll throw I haven't done this, but I could throw my hammer down and be like, "Fine, you do it." And she's like, "What the
Yeah,
heck? Where did that come from? I just said it was crooked. I assumed you were gonna fix it. Like, why are you reacting this way?" So
yeah.
support for the Emotional Men podcast comes from McCary Counseling.
McCary Counseling is a great way for folks living in Washington State or Texas to access mental health care. We see folks anywhere in those two places virtually, or if you're just north of Austin in the Round Rock area, happy to see you in person. Reach out to us, our website, mccarycounseling.com, and email us for more details. Well, yeah, let's go through the rest of the steps and then kind of go back and take a look at how they impact what you do and how you do it.
Okay.
So we've got the first one, which is strike when the iron is cold, which is don't, if you can't talk calmly about it, don't talk about it. Number two, and this is, I think, a particular big thing in the current generation, talk face to face, if at all possible. Doing it over a phone is better than not, but like face to face is the best because so much of conversation is body language. And the other thing that's really important is do not text fight. Like
Oh,
I cannot say
yeah.
loud enough, clear enough, strongly enough, do not fight over text. And the reason for that is because if you write someone a text, you're asking them and giving them permission to read it in the worst possible way.
No inflection,
And
no
they will.
tones. Nope.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If I were to say the words, I'm going to be home late. I type out the words, I'm coming home late. That's a fact. It's just I'm going to be home late, right? I can say, hey, by the way, I'm going to be home late. Okay. Like, hey, I'm coming home late.
Mm-hmm.
Very different meaning, right? If you're already mad at me and you assume that I'm mad at you, even if I'm not, whatever I say, you're going to read as if I'm really mad at you. And if you, especially if you're coming from a place where you think you suck, like your baseline is you're just like a piece of garbage in your head sometimes, and everybody's like that sometimes. There's no shame in that. Something to overcome and work against. But if that's your place, you're just going to assume that that's what everything is pointing towards, right? There's the presenting problem, there's the existential problem. The existential problem right now is you are calling me a piece of garbage, and I can tell because look what you wrote. How dare you? Please, please do not fight over text.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't fight over text.
Yeah, I'd say it easily turns into a passive aggressive thing where the person texting could mean something snide or snarky or something, and they say something,
Hmm.
and then later the other person says, "Well, you said it this way," and they're like, "No, no, I didn't," knowing full well that they meant it that way. But it'll turn into this passive
Absolutely.
aggressive back and forth of like, "Oh, I didn't say it that way. You're totally reading into it."
Hmm. Or maybe, yeah, and sometimes it just gets aggressive, aggressive. There's a really great Key and Peele skit that I show in therapy sometimes. I don't know if you've seen this one where they're texting each other, and Key is getting really upset. He's like, "Why aren't you texting me back? Are we going out tonight or not? Like, tell me what you want." And it flashes to Peele, who's like playing video games and smoking weed, and he's like, "Oh, missed some texts. What do you want? Are we even going out tonight? Let me know what you want." Oh, that's so thoughtful of him. And so he replies back, goes, whatever, I'm good. Whatever you want. And then it flashes back to Key's like, whatever I want, whatever. And they get more and more, he
Yeah,
gets more and more angry while Peel gets more and more convinced that his friend is being super lovely. And
they're
so
on different planets.
completely different planets. Do not fight over text. It will not go the way that you want. That's I think a pillar. Do not fight over text. It's a terrible idea.
Okay, it's nice to have hard and
Okay.
fast rules.
It is. Number three, and I think this kind of talks about or speaks to what you were talking about a moment ago. Don't attack the other person. Stick to addressing the issue at hand. For example, if you're talking about how they unload the dishwasher wrong, talk about that. Don't throw in they're just like their mom and are always criticizing.
Ooh,
That's
yeah,
not what you're talking about. You're talking specifically about the dishwasher. If you need to talk about that other thing, mark it. Say, hey, I hear you saying that I get really mean. Let's talk about that later, but first let's solve this first problem so we can just be done with this and we can address the other one fully and
that
completely.
is really hard when the other person becomes defensive and starts attacking other things, and you'll get into rabbit holes of other conversations, and the dishwasher's sitting right
Hmm.
there. But now
Yeah,
you're
and
talking about
what
everything from last summer, and you have to defend
this is
yourself.
where you don't, though. This is where intentionality really starts to play a very big role. If we're talking about the dishwasher, and the next thing you know, you're talking about like how you unloaded the groceries or whatever, you are allowed to say, hey, you know what? Let's take a stop. I'm starting to get angry about this, but like, let's focus on the dishwasher first. I hear you saying that the groceries is another problem. I want to talk about that problem. Let's work on the dishwasher first. It's really hard. I don't want to make it sound like it's an easy thing to do, but it's really crucial to keep the conversation moving forward effectively instead of blowing up into this all out
Yeah,
knockout fight that it doesn't need to be.
about other
If you're
things,
talking about
nothing
it,
to do with the dishwasher.
yeah, exactly. If you're talking about a thing, talk about the thing. If you're no longer talking about the thing, either the situation has been solved or you're talking about the wrong thing. That's just the way it goes.
Good way to put that.
That also means too that you can't do it to them, right? Like it's really easy to be like, oh, my partner, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, they do that to me all the time. Like I do one thing, and the next thing you know, we're talking about the seventh freaking cycle of the moon through whatever.
Yeah,
But you need to try and recognize it in yourself too. You are not innocent in this, person who is listening. You do this too. It's not because you're a bad person, it's because you're a human being. It's really important to recognize when you let yourself get off topic and you need to bring yourself back, even if they don't call you out on it. You need to keep yourself on topic, face to face, as calmly as possible.
yeah,
Capiche?
yeah. Because if you, yeah,
Yeah.
I was
Didn't mean
gonna
to cut
say
you off.
something else about when you call your wife a name and she comes in and says, "What did you say?" You don't start defending what you said because of all these things she has done in the past that prove your point. You say,
Hmm.
I said this, and that's the problem, that I said this thing. That is the problem.
Exactly. And
It's
then everything else that comes after that is solving that problem until it's solved,
exactly.
which in our case was me apologizing profusely, admitting why I said it, that it was an emotional response to a bad situation, not trying to deflate it, not trying to push it off. And this is not one of my 6 steps, but uh, this is so crucial for a good relationship, and it's really hard to pull off. But it's another one I try to live by, which is the instant you realize you're wrong, you need to apologize.
Oh,
Doesn't matter if you're
yes.
in the middle of a conversation, doesn't matter if it's an opportune moment, doesn't matter if it makes you look like a complete moron. The instant you know you're wrong, you need to admit it.
Oh, I've been there where you just dig in and you just don't want to be wrong, and so you come off as really unconfident, and you're like, because blah, and then you end up sounding like a Neanderthal because you're going to stick with that. I'll die on this hill, and you're like, what are you talking about? It's blatantly wrong. You're like, well, that's your opinion. Like, oh my gosh, and you feel dumber while you stick with it, but you have to.
Exactly. The problem with dying on a hill is you end up
Yeah,
dead.
I wish I wasn't this way. I really wish that I didn't feel what you're talking about. Oh my
I
gosh.
like again, all this stuff is really hard, and I this is stuff that I've spent years trying to do, and I still screw it up all the time. This is really hard to nail, but like having these, we're halfway through these 6, and already, I mean, like you can see these are not easy steps, but if you implement them, they will make a big difference. So just as a quick recap, I'll do several recaps. Strike while the iron is cold, talk face to face, do not attack the other person. Included in that, the instant you know you're wrong is the
Mm.
instant you need to apologize. And I will say that I have done this in the middle of a fight where my wife's like, well, you said this. And I go, oh, you're right. I did. Dang it. You're right. Ugh, you're right. I'm sorry. Like how quickly that takes all the air out of an argument and leads to a real solution cannot be overstated. And if you find yourself like, but I'm always wrong, that might be something to address.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There's that cliche of the dad, like Flintstones, like the dad looks like a bumbling idiot, Fred and Barney, because they're good.
Mhm.
And now as an adult, I am good at work. I can be intelligent. I'm a leader of people. I have a certain rank and position. And then when I come home, I don't know where the peanut butter is. And so, Dad,
Mhm.
my kids, it hurts when I feel like my kids see me as this kind of Fred Flintstone character who doesn't know his right way around the house because they don't see me at my best when I'm at work, which is unfortunate.
Hmm.
Um, but that also
Hmm.
means that you have to constantly apologize and be humble, and you can still be a nice guy who is
Mhm.
constantly smiling and apologizing because you
Yeah.
have to ask directions.
I mean, there's an unspoken piece of this, which is an important consideration, which is if you always apologize the instant that you know you're wrong, if you're not apologizing, you still feel like you're right. And people will take that seriously because you're not trying to be correct for the sake of being correct. You're trying to get as close to truth as possible. So if you feel like you can apologize when you're wrong, then you can stand more confidently when you feel like you're right.
Yep. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Because I apologize often, and when I don't need to, I'm willing to stand on that.
Yep. I'm not going to apologize for something that I don't think is wrong. I will apologize if I've done something to contribute to your discomfort. But
Mhm.
I'm not going to apologize if I don't think
Maybe
I'm
that's
wrong.
the difference of being whipped versus being a good partner. Is that you think about it? It's deliberate, like you say. It's always with intention. I'm
Hmm.
going to apologize because I'm wrong. I'm not going to apologize to placate my spouse. I'm going to apologize because what I did
Exactly.
was wrong, and that hurts the
Exactly. Because the
relationship.
last thing I need, yeah, the last thing I need in my relationship is a fertile bed for resentment to grow. And I will resent my wife if I'm constantly apologizing to her just to shut her up.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's a bad
Wow.
idea. It's toxic.
Yep.
It's beyond toxic to relationships. And that's true for women apologizing to men too. If you're a woman listening to this and you're like, "Oh, I feel like I always have to apologize to my partner." That's a sign of something bad happening.
Fertile bed of resentment. That's a good way to put that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Step 4, be honest in your communication. And this goes back again to when I called my wife that name. I had to be honest. She caught me. I had to tell the truth. I had to tell the truth. And this is why I wanted to have the conversation we had last week about controlling emotions. If you're upset because of something you think will make them mad if they hear it, you need to tell them the truth and let them get mad because you cannot control their emotional response. I'm not talking about, and I want to make a very clear distinction here, I'm not talking about saying things to keep a violent person from being violent. That is a different conversation. I'm talking about several assumptions here. Assuming your partner isn't violent towards you, assuming that they're not going to retaliate in dangerous ways, assuming that you're not going to lose access to safety, they're not going to throw you out, they're not going to hurt your kids, they're not going to cut off your access to your family. I'm not talking about abusive, capital A, abusive relationships. I'm talking about working through a normal, healthy relationship. You cannot try and prevent someone from getting angry at the truth because you cannot control the truth and you cannot control their emotions. Both of those things are off the table.
Wow, that's a mic drop moment. I don't know what to say beyond that. Um,
All right, let's move on. Step 5, and this is, I think this might be a Gottman technique. I could be wrong. Repeat each other for clarity. And the reason for that is there's a sentence you use that's very famous in the world of couples counseling. That's I feel blank when you blank. And they repeat back, it sounds like you feel blank when I blank. The example that I like to give is let's say you and your wife are going through your day. Your wife gets home from work first, and you go out after work with your friends. You go to the bar, you have a drink. You don't, we're not talking like getting drunk. We're just like you go out and have a good time with your friends for a little bit. Come home an hour or two later than expected.
yeah. Okay.
And you don't text your wife. Oopsie poopsie. You get home and she's got a cold dinner sitting on the table,
Which to
and
her means
the candles.
you don't care about me and my efforts, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Presumably, that's exactly what she's feeling. And so she's like, "Dude, what the crap? Like, where were you? Why didn't you tell me you weren't going to come home?" There you go. You're like, I just went out with my friends. You don't want me to have friends? You don't want me to spend time with my friends? And then all of a sudden, it turns into this big, ugly thing, right?
Yeah.
However, if your wife were to say to you, "I feel disrespected when you don't tell me your plans for after work," right? And then you get to repeat that back. It sounds like you feel angry when I hang out with my friends, is how you respond. You now have a chance to fine tune the message to make sure you're talking about the same thing.
Mm.
I didn't say I feel angry that you hang out with your friends. I feel angry when you don't tell me you're going to hang out with your friends because I had plans for us that now I didn't get to do. And you're allowed to say, well, I feel frustrated when you make plans and don't tell me you're making plans. It sounds like you feel frustrated when I make plans and don't tell you you're making plans. Yes, you are now talking about the exact same thing and you're working towards the same solution. You're trying to find a way to increase communication about after work plans. You're not trying to find a way to keep your partner from spending time with friends.
I've found this to be really difficult, and why therapy is so useful for couples because it makes people angry and they will respond deliberately with inaccurate messages because
Hmm.
they're still angry. And so a therapist is there to play referee and be like, "Stop, do you see the difference here between these two things that you just said?" And they're like, "Yeah, but I'm really angry." Like, "Yeah, okay, good, good. But what were you
Sounds like
talking?"
you feel angry when she says this thing.
Yeah, like, does she, big thing about control. Control is a whole part of the relationship. Like, she's controlling what I think. Like, no, you guys are communicating. Anyway,
Hmm.
so I
Hmm.
think my point was that therapy is useful because you get to practice with a referee before you're actually in the living room by yourselves.
Yeah. And it's worth pointing out that when you are seeing a therapist, it doesn't mean you stop fighting. It means that you have someone to help you break down the fight afterwards. Like,
Yeah.
I tell my clients, like, you're going to go home and you're going to fight. And next week, we're going to talk about the fight that you had. And they're like, we're not going to fight. And the next week, they come back, like, oh, dude, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah.
Let's break it down how we could have done it better so that next time it happens, it doesn't go quite that bad.
Mhm.
It's again, it's iterative. It builds upon itself. It takes practice. It takes intentionality, but it is possible.
I use
So yeah.
I would use often Simon Sinek's FBI statement. And
Hmm.
he FBI is feelings, behavior, impact. So feelings is how I feel. Behavior is when you something, and the impact is us. So me,
Hmm.
you, us. I feel upset when you don't tell me that you're leaving away, and the impact is I feel, or the impact is it hurts our relationship. We don't communicate as well as a couple. That's the impact.
Hmm.
And they may mount a defense, but your job is just to make the statement, make the FBI statement.
It's interesting. I hear that and I go, I'm on boards with 2/3 of it. The impact, I think, introduces some room for danger, though. And this is my personal thought. Maybe I'll just cut this out because,
No,
I
no,
don't,
go for it.
I don't know enough to talk at length about it. But if I tell you my feelings and the behavior, if I get to define the impact as, and it impacts our relationship when you do this thing, then you're making them responsible for the big thing instead of making them responsible for their behavior as it relates to your emotions. I feel like adding
Mm.
another thing for them to be responsible for makes them perhaps feel more overwhelmed by the prospect of trying to fix it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a fix it mentality there. Yeah, I can see that. What's I think important is their perceived impact to it. You can
Hmm.
you can make that statement knowing that it hurts our relationship. That's my perception of it.
Yeah,
That
I think, yeah,
but
absolutely.
but
That's a great way to
the
put it.
person's statement is their own. It's not like I'm putting this on you.
Mhm. Yeah. Sixth and final step, and this is one that surprises people a lot when I say it. If things get heated, you're allowed to take a break from the conversation to cool down. And I want to add a very important caveat to that, which is that it's only effective at solving the issue if you can come back to it in 24 to 48 hours. And the reason for that is because that's about how long it takes for the momentum of a fight to completely disappear.
Hmm.
If you wait longer than that, you have to restart the momentum around the issue, which usually means you have to wait for it to be a fight again. That's
Because people would prefer to let it die and not approach it again. Because we're doing okay. Why would we fight? Why do we want to
Mhm.
force it?
Why do you keep bringing this up? It's not a problem right now, and here you are bringing it up again.
Some of the empirical work of Gottman was actually as short as 15 minutes. They noticed that couples had a significantly different rhetoric when they'd bring them into a room, have them talk about something heated until they got worked up, and then be like, "Hey, break, 15 minutes apart." And 15 minutes
Hmm.
was the magical moment when things started to turn, and they could come back and they started talking about that thing with less emotion, um,
Yeah,
using different
yeah,
kind of language.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah,
definitely, I would say definitely within 24 to 48 hours.
yeah. I'm going to add another non-note thing, like a non-step thing, but a personal caveat for myself, which is you are allowed to schedule fights. You're allowed to tell your partner, hey, I need to talk to you about insert contentious issue. When would be a good time to do it? And the reason, like the internet, I've had people tell me, like, no, the internet says that's a bad idea. No, this is a great idea. I'm telling you that we're going to have that I want to have a conversation about a thing. I'm inviting you to choose the arena in which we approach this thing, and you have time to prepare yourself both emotionally for the fight and to kind of figure out what your solution to that fight is going to be. I'm a big believer in scheduling fights. I'm not a big believer in scheduling mean fights. Like, hey, when you get home today, I'm going to call you a big, fat, stupid idiot and I'm going to punch you in the face. That's a terrible idea. But saying, when we get home, we really need to figure out what we're doing with our money.
Oh, so
We
you
need to
mean
figure out,
scheduling time around high conflict scenarios?
yes,
Okay,
yes, I do.
that
And
that totally
I
makes sense.
stand by it.
We
It's
need,
a really good idea.
yeah. I hate those texts that I get that says we need to talk, with no context, no background, nothing.
Yeah.
We need to
Well,
talk.
see, don't text
Oh yeah, don't
face to
text.
face.
That's absolutely my heart sinks into my stomach. That's like, what did I do?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going through like all the money I spent in the last month, and like, oh, what the heck? I
Mm-hmm.
hate that. Um,
Yeah.
so I found when people say that women are naturally better communicators than men are, they use more words per day than men do on average. And
Mm.
so I was trying to find any studies that showed like communication skills gender based because it seems like at least guys I talk to in my circles that I just don't talk well um, it seems like they lean on poor communication skills as a huge problem in the relationship on their side. One of these studies that I found, I couldn't find very many, but one of them, 12 married couples were assessed. No gender-based differences were found in communication skills ratings. And
Mm.
basically, when couples discussed low conflict situations, effective skills exceeded those of ineffective skills. But when the couples discussed high conflict problems, ineffective skills exceeded the use of effective skills. They just stopped communicating as well on purpose. I think they started. That's like using extremes.
You saying men do that?
No, both. There was no
Oh,
gender
both.
difference between them
Hmm.
in these 12 couples anyway. The fact that like these skills you went through, if you're going to talk about high conflict situations, for some reason, people would talk more when they're super worked up. They would text about it. They would attack each other. Um, they would avoid certain points of it. It just seemed like ineffective skills were used more frequently when you're approaching a high conflict situation, which is really interesting.
There's something in there that I think is really worth pointing out, which is this cultural idea that men are bad communicators and they're just big emotionless idiots. I I don't think people really think that as much as they used to, but certainly people are like, well, I can't. I hear so many men say I'm not allowed to say that,
Oh,
and I
yeah,
want
she'll
to
get
push
mad at
against.
me if I say something like, yeah, if I say that.
Yeah, which is why I'm like, then let her get mad. Like you can't control her emotions. Let her get mad.
Hmm.
Trust in the relationship to carry what it needs to. And if the relationship can't, work at it until it can. And if it never will be able to, then reassess the relationship if it's something you really want. Pick your problem.
Yeah, but having your hands tied because your wife is going to beat you over the head with her emotions, or her reactions, I should say, her reactions,
Sure.
and she uses, or he, whoever your partner is, uses their reaction as a way to get you to stop talking or stop saying certain things.
Yeah. And that's using these 6 steps kind of pulls that apart, right? Like, hey, when you start using your emotions to berate me like that, I feel I feel like I don't matter to you. I feel like it's more
Hmm.
important to you to be right when you tell me blah blah blah,
Yeah.
right? Using these 6 steps can kind of diffuse that. And this is also couples counseling can be really helpful for this, like you said, because you have a referee. You have a built-in referee who's telling you, don't do this, do this. Did you pay attention to that? Did you see the way that thing landed?
Hmm.
Um, it's really, really important.
Well,
So as a quick recap, oh, go ahead.
oh, do your recap.
As a recap of what these 6 steps are, step one, strike while the iron is cold. If you cannot talk about it calmly, you need to wait until you can talk about it because if it's only a problem when you have big emotions, it's probably not really a problem. Two, talk face to face at all, if at all possible. Do not text. Don't fight over text. Three, don't attack the other person. Stick to addressing the issue at hand. You're talking about unloading the dishwasher, not about how they remind you of their mother. Step four, be honest in your communication. If you're upset because of something that you think will make them mad, tell them the truth, let them get mad, be present to it, and work through it together. Step five, repeat each other for clarity. I feel blank when you blank. It sounds like you feel blank when I blank. Step six, if things get heated, take a break from the conversation to cool down. An important note again, it's only effective if you can come back to it in 24 to 48 hours so you don't lose any momentum. If you wait any longer, you risk the issue having to be a fight again before you can address it again. There you go.
Thank you. I think what's important is to point out what it's not. It is not coercive.
Hmm.
Like we talked about using your reaction to bludgeon over people. This is not, these techniques are not meant to say that you are better than the other person at communicating, therefore I am right because I learned this
Hmm.
stuff and so you're not doing it right, so I'm better at this relationship than you are. Gaslighting means that you're convincing the other person that they're at fault all the time, basically tricking them. Gaslighting is kind of a culture, like a buzzword. It was,
Drives me nuts.
what, the term or the popularity of it?
The people, you're gaslighting me. Shut up.
Oh yeah,
No, I'm not.
it was developed from an old movie, a black and white movie. I think it was Audrey Hepburn was in that movie, but
Mhm.
she was blind, I think, and was it? No, wrong movie. Anyway, the point is the guy would keep turning on these lights, and back in the day they were gas. You'd turn the valve, and they would get brighter and lighter, and he would leave them on, and then convince his wife that she left them on until she thought that she was going crazy because he
He would
was.
also, it wasn't just leaving them on. This is, I think, important to the point. He would also dim them, and she'd be like, I think the lights are getting dimmer, and he'd be like, no, no, they're the same brightness they've always been. So like denying the truth to make her look crazy.
Yeah, making
That's
something. Yeah,
gaslighting.
gaslighting.
Specifically to hurt somebody. Like denying the truth because you're afraid of addressing it is very different from gaslighting. In order for
Yep.
someone to truly gaslight you, they have to be maliciously trying to make you feel crazy by changing their description of the truth.
Like if I was doing things on purpose in the kitchen, making things crooked, and then saying, "No, I leveled this. It's level," and she's like, "I swear it looks crooked," and I was like, "Well, your head's crooked. You need to straighten it." And then making things crooked over and over again and blaming it on her.
Yeah.
I was comparing couples relationships to that I had to stop reading How to Win Friends and Influence People because it seemed to me like a car salesman handbook. Really
Mm,
was like, how do you get people to do what you want? And it really bugged me because it was like, do these things and people will react this way. I'm like, well, maybe. But Carnegie had something right when he talked about positive influence. You're doing it out of respect for someone else, and you're doing things to try to not convince, to have positive influence on them versus coercion.
hmm
It is not controlling how other people feel. Um, so I liked the term from Carnegie that was a positive influence someone in the way that leaves them feeling empowered to go a certain way, not arguing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but in any case, relationships should
In
always be
any
built
case.
on trust and acceptance of the other person's view.
hmm Even if you don't feel that trust, love, or acceptance in the moment, the goal is always be pushing in that direction. The goal is to get there, and that's understood. If you're no longer trying to get to the place of understanding and trust, then that's a different problem that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. And as always, Taylor, I'm leaving here feeling like I got more than I gave, and I have a lot more work to do as soon as this thing stops and Katie comes home.
Oh, dude,
Man,
we all do. This is hard, and this isn't
yeah,
really. This is hard.
it's an ongoing
And you're going to screw it up.
yeah, yeah, it is. It's like it's less like building a house, and it's more like trying to fix wet clay that keeps melting down and putting it back up into a
Yeah,
sculpture.
it takes constant effort, and that's not because you're bad or weak. It's because it's just the nature of the thing,
Hmm.
and it gets easier. It gets easier the more you do it, and
Yes,
there will still be times when you're really bad
the
at it.
power is in the practice, but hopefully, when you're bad at it, then that will come as a surprise, and you can look at the difference of what
Yes.
you were good at, and then you just made this mistake, and you apologize, and oh, well, I was good at that. It used to be anyway.
Yeah, there's a great Russian saying I think about a lot. It's "Повторение мать учения," which means repetition is the mother of learning.
Oh
That's
wow,
if you want to learn how to do a thing, just keep doing it.
that's wonderful.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for an engaging talk, Taylor. Really appreciate the
yeah,
hour I get to spend with you.
yeah, man. I did not expect the conversation to go the way that it did, and I love the discovery. Genuinely, I
Yeah.
love the way these things go, Pete. I say it again and again. I know nobody will ever really care about this, but like in my old age, I'm dying on my bed. I'm like, at least I had Pete.
We had the podcast.
My kids are like, yeah, yeah, Dad, sure, sure, podcast. But the podcast had 100 listens in 1 week. 100 people were convinced that we knew we were talking about something worth listening to. Those people were my friends. Sure, sure, Dad.
Yeah, Dad. Go ahead. Go towards the light,
You know,
please.
just, just like they take a pillow and slowly push it on my face. Just
Slowly.
let go, Dad. Shh,
Okay.
shh, shh. Just let go. You're gonna go see Mom now.
I'm
I
always
miss her.
I'm always afraid that like what what bits of my history are going to come up in my dementia as I'm sitting there at like 85 years old. I'm going to just like spout things like talk face to face, don't text. And they'll be like, "Okay. Okay, Dad."
What is texting? Face to face.
Texting?
Ever since COVID 2027 came out, nobody's been able to be face to
That's
face.
right.
What are you talking
We
about?
send holograms.
Yes, yes,
Oh
with
my
our
gosh.
special hologram suits so we can feel a proximity of touch.
In fact, I don't even need to get out of my bed.
That's
I
right.
just put
And I
in my
never will
brain
again
chip and go to
because I'm
work.
dying. Yes, yes. Give me that sweet, sweet brain chip. Anyway,
Yeah.
what a lovely
Comment
conversation.
below, subscribe to the
Yeah.
podcast. Thank you very much for listening. We all appreciate the support, the positive feedback that we've gotten. Please, if you can, send us an email at emotionalmenpc@gmail.com or go to Spotify, comment on YouTube, stuff like that. It'll help us out.
Yeah, yeah. We have an Instagram thing that we're trying to pay attention
Trying
to.
to.
We got the Facebook thing we're trying to pay attention to. We're working full time, so back off. But please, not so far that you leave us alone. We're desperate for approval.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that one bad comment. If we ever have like enough listeners so that
Oh,
troll
dude,
shows up and
I
says
can't
something.
wait.
It'll just be like,
I'm so excited.
oh yeah, that one time we get a troll, we'll be like, oh my gosh,
We did
we
it.
did it.
Oh man. What I hope is that this comes out and all 3 people who listen to this each write a mean comment.
Yeah, or I'll just create new profiles and attack the troll myself.
Just to be, yeah. I love it. All right.
All right,
Let's put a pin in it there.
All right, love you, Taylor.
All right, love you, Pete. All right, see you next time.